Thank you, Edward. And it's funny, I'm used to being in the legislature, writing speeches frantically to extend them, to take up more time, and you know what I mean. So anyway, I've shortened the speech here tonight, which I'm sure you'll all enjoy. So if there's the odd spot that doesn't seem connected, just know that I've trimmed it very recently. So Miss Broughton, Miss Raitt, Mckenna Award recipients, special guests. I know there's some of my colleagues from the legislature, Michelle Thompson, Minister of Health, Susan Corcoran-Greek, Minister of Economic Development, Danielle Barkhouse from nearby Chester St. Margaret's. I know that we have some former premiers, and I know Edward has, I think, mentioned them. I saw Daryl Dexter in the room, Stephen McNeil, Wade McLaughlin, I believe, is here from Prince Edward Island. Peter MacKay is here. I saw Michelle Sampson, another former legislative colleague, and Andy Fillmore is here as well tonight. And I hope I've not missed anybody, but I've attempted to see you as I've seen you in the room. On behalf of the province of Nova Scotia, welcome to the Public Policy Forum's Atlantic Dinner and Frank McKenna Awards. Tonight we gather to celebrate excellence in leadership, how the ingenuity and innovation of private entrepreneurs and public figures have enriched our communities. The PPF was born out of the belief that dialogue between leaders in the private and public sectors leads to better policy. Tonight, I will share some highlights from our first year of service as your new government. But it is also an opportunity to make a connection. Your thoughts and ideas can help a government that is willing to listen. Frank McKenna spent a lifetime building a stronger Canada as a premier, diplomat, and business leader. From his earliest days growing up in the Miramichi to his service in the legislature in Fredericton, his time as ambassador in Washington, and his contributions on the executive of TD Bank, Frank McKenna has been an example of the power of individuals to influence the world. His work demonstrates the important ways that policy can make the practice of government better and improve lives. It shows us we can all make a difference, no matter who we are, where we live, what our background is, or where our passions lie. We can do something to make our community and our world a better place. Tonight, the Mckenna Awards will recognize 4 outstanding individuals from different fields who have followed that example. They have made a difference. Ms. Cathy Bennett, as past Minister of Finance herself in Newfoundland, I can say that we both started by winning a by-election and getting in by the skin of our teeth. But it's what matters after you win that counts, and it's what you do with that. Ms. Bennett is truly a seasoned entrepreneur with over 35 years of business leadership, but she was also an elected member. And politicians are kind of like the entrepreneurs in government. And I say that because unless your ideas are current and can relate to what the public wants, you won't last in the marketplace. This is the reality entrepreneurs know only too well. Indeed, it is a strange job that requires you to go knocking on doors every 4 years to find out if people think you're worth sending back. You have elected members, I can tell you, in the legislature on all sides of the House that care deeply about representing what's important in their communities. I can tell you that Premier Tim Houston wants to make decisions that have a positive impact. He values the advice available within government, and he also values the external advice he receives from people like yourselves in this room here tonight. He is also not afraid to change his mind if it is the right thing to do. Tonight we'll be recognizing Jeff Don, a man who knows a lot about batteries, something that holds a lot of promise for electrification and the movement away from fossil fuels. The world is always changing, and we may be flying around like the Jetsons before we know it. Your government will have less impact on how transportation develops worldwide, but our decisions will have a lot of impact on that other great source of emissions, our power utility. Last fall, we passed legislation with 28 goals designed to address climate change. A pivotal part of this work is transforming how electricity is generated in this province. And it provides a vision. I'm smiling at somebody over there. I knew she'd be listening to this. It provides a vision for having 80% of our electricity needs supplied by renewable energy by 2030. On the receiving end of that power utility, we are investing millions to help Nova Scotians get off oil and to improve energy efficiency in their homes. This is particularly helpful to households at low income levels. We made a case against a carbon tax. Why did we do that? People are already struggling with the price of fuel. It is causing food prices to rise, and some are taking from their food budgets to put gas in their car to drive to work. The purpose of a carbon tax is to discourage people from using fossil fuels to save the planet. The problem is people still need to drive to work. Many Nova Scotians heat their home with oil, and most cannot change that overnight. They do not need another tax eating into their ability to put food on the table. They have no choice. At the Department of Finance, we have more than 20 years of data showing that people do not stop driving when fuel prices rise abruptly. There will be fewer drives taken, but most people still need to get to where they're going. And you're actually going to see that soon in a budget forecast update. Choice is what Nova Scotians need. They need choices to move away from fossil fuels, and a new carbon tax will not change that. Tonight, we will recognize Marcel Lebrun, whose heart moved him to sustainably reduce homelessness and poverty. It is worth your time to check out 12 Neighbors films. You can Google it. I did. I was very impressed. Very impressed. Mark and his wife, and I've not met you yet, but I hope to before the night is out. They are people who are really thinking deeply about something that matters, and watch 12 Neighbors films. I can tell you it's worth your time. If you don't understand someone's poverty in a personal way and what led to that poverty, how can you begin to help them? This is a challenge for people working in government, whether it is in terms of developing policy or whether it is in spending time with somebody one-on-one who has reached out for help. Cost of living increases have become a much more serious problem since the invasion of Ukraine. Before our first budget, targeted supports were provided with special payments for people on income assistance, increases to the heating rebate, and support for food banks. The budget offered new measures that are here to stay. They're not going to come and go. Measures including the Seniors Care Grants, which were recently topped up, and the Nova Scotia Child Benefit. Last fall, we began making significant investments to increase the supply of housing. And I'll just say rent supplements are one of the more common ones to help people access rental properties, and also the creation of almost 700 new affordable units. Our hope is that these actions will sustainably reduce homelessness and poverty. The Honorable Dr. Mayanne Francis, what an honorable life you have lived. Your contribution to human rights and equity has made our province a better place. When Queen Elizabeth II was laid to rest, you, as 31st Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia, would have had a closeness to that moment few of us would have known. The Queen was a fixture of stability for the lifetime of everyone in this room. Stability is important in a society that is always changing. And following the uncertainty of the past 2 years, stability is more important for many people now more than ever. The pandemic created a period of instability unlike anything we've experienced in recent history. One of the highlights this past year, last December, was a $1 billion revenue surprise in the provincial budget forecast update. Fortunately, Nova Scotia's economy proved more resilient and recharged more quickly during the pandemic, largely because we had fewer lockdowns than other jurisdictions. And for that, we must tip our hat to Nova Scotians for following public health recommendations. People cared about their neighbors and they were considerate. We are a growing province. We topped 1 million people last December. We added another 7,000 as of May. Our exports were up beyond pre-pandemic levels to close out 2021. And the labor force has become so tight that we are seeing monthly unemployment numbers that are as low as we've seen since the early 1970s. We need to prepare for the future. We need to have the infrastructure in place to support our growth. And that is not just hospitals and schools, that is people. Immigration helps to ensure we have the people, the ideas, and the drive to tackle and challenge and build a way of life that is the best you can find anywhere. Immigrants connect us to global ideas and global opportunities. They show us that diversity and inclusion matter, and they help us to innovate. The big change in the spring budget was an almost 10% increase in healthcare spending when you remove the impact of COVID expenditures. That is a big shot in the arm for a system many people who are working in it would say is feeling overwhelmed. I'm going to conclude with that. And I just want to say, I hope we have made a connection here tonight. Governments cannot solve every challenge, but with dialogue with leaders in the private sector, we can all help to make things better. Your thoughts and ideas can help a government that's willing to listen. Behind the work of government, there is a team of dedicated public servants led by deputy ministers, many of whom are here tonight. I would like to recognize these deputies for their commitment to our government and for their leadership and support. And I believe they're all sitting at this table, so give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you to the Public Policy Forum for their work in putting this evening's event together. Congratulations to tonight's recipients. Thank you for caring enough about your country to dedicate your life to securing its future. May you enjoy this evening's presentations and leave here feeling energized and motivated to be leaders in your own way. Have a great evening.